What's up, everybody? This is Kyron Williams with the Los Angeles Rams running back. I'm super excited to see you at the Fantasy Sports Summit.
Hey, it's Rashid Shaheed, and I'll see y'all at the Fantasy Sports Summit, August 21st. Can't wait.
Welcome to the show, guys. We are keeping everybody happy here, doing what everybody loves. We are continuing on with the fantasy football rankings. In this video, we are talking about the top 10 fantasy football wide receivers, a little bit off of the consensus style here. And of course, there is some players here in the top 10 that I am fading. We're going to explain why, but we are doing this for your entertainment. Jim, welcome to the show, man. We are talking wide receivers here. I'm pumped to dive into this, dude.
Yeah. Hey, counselor, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. There's a lot going on. I'm trying to keep on top of everything. Today, we're going to skip the news a little bit. There wasn't as major news here today. I mean, something could break at the time of this recording to when we release it. We're going to pass the news, get right to the wide receivers here. But again, if you're following, turn on the bell. I do shorts for news. I'm on my story mode on Instagram, so follow on all social channels for the breaking news here, especially my story mode on IG for all the breaking news. Breaking Brad decided to have the day off here. We're going to get right to the list. But before we do, though, there's some important announcements, though. Guys, we are 1 week away from the Fantasy Sports Summit. Guys, if you are new to the channel, we are doing a virtual summit with Kyron Williams, Trey Benson, actual NFL athletes, Tajay Spears. And of course, guys, grab the 16-round draft solution. You can combo both of these guys. But the virtual summit is amazing because you get to come online just like this, like a live podcast. We're going to have your chance to ask these players questions. So all the details are below. And grab the 16-round draft solution. All the optimal players, sleepers, breakouts, everything you need to crush your leagues, guys. It is full force draft season. You got to draft for 16 rounds. If not, you are literally drafting based on consensus, and then you're going to be with the herd. You're not going to win your league. So grab 16 rounds is going to give you a massive advantage. And of course, in 16 rounds, is a 16 round plus tool, which is going to give you a lot more insight. You get a 50% discount on that as well. So the solution, guys, the summit, the best deal is the combo. I've linked it below. Guys, get in on the action right now. Okay. So Jim, I'm ready to dive into this right now, man. We're going to go from 10 down to 1. If you are new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it. Let's make this interactive. And again, Jim, how do you explain this list? It's kind of based on Cuddy, right? It's not consensus, but these guys have a higher rating in the 16-round app than other players, right? How would you describe this list?
Well, these are pretty much the top 10 wide receivers coming off the board. In most drafts, these are the guys that are going to be the first 10 wide receivers that are going to be selected.
Right.
We kind of put them in order. We use the Cuddy score to help us, but also just to like where we would take these guys, because some of them are way out of position from where they're actually going. So, it's like we're basically saying, if any of the guys above them are available, I would rather have them than that guy. Is kind of how I ordered it. But these are the top 10 guys coming off, pretty much.
And I want to just give you guys a big note here. I'm going to put myself on the big note here. I am not drafting a lot of these wide receivers, especially the guys on top, because I'm going running back early. So I have to make the screen big so I get an announcement here. Jim, sorry, I'm taking the screen here for a second. I am not drafting a lot of these running backs early. Guys like Puka. We're going to explain some of the risks involved, some of these wide receivers earlier on, and why it's advantageous to go running back. So I explain all this in 16-round draft session, so grab it below. But some of these guys still a high ceiling for them, especially the guys that are on top. But we're going to explain all of the potential red flags for everybody here. Sorry, Jim, I had to take the spotlight there for you. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. But I have to say that I am perfectly fine taking a wide receiver early. In fact, this year with the tier break from the first round wide receivers, I really like to have one of those wide receivers on my team. And then I've usually been waiting until the third round to take my first running back, but that's just kind of like my strategy this year. But I really the upside of the tier 1 elite wide receivers is so good. And you've talked about it, how in rounds 2 and 3, they're just garbage. The wide receivers are just really bad. So it's for me, I'm like, okay, I'd rather just grab one of these top tier guys, and then I'll grab some running backs during those other rounds when there's a bunch of wide receiver 2s coming off the board. So
I see what you're saying, but the fall off of running backs after round 2 is crazy. But you're right. In between is round like 3 to 5, it's a disaster. Everybody's playing wide receiver guessing games, whether it be Diggs or Nico Collins or Dell or DK Metcalf, all three-headed monster situations. So it's nice to have one of these running backs in the first 3 rounds. So I'm preferring drafting one kind of in the second round is kind of what I'm looking. There's also what happens, I think, this year is you got these boosts to these good wide receivers early, then there's this dip off, and then it kind of peaks back up where you get kind of your Keon Coleman's and McConkeys and guys that could really kind of tear it up later. So there is value later, tons of sleepers at wide receiver. We just want to make you aware. I'm personally fading wide receiver early because I think there's a ton of value at wide receiver later. There's a couple ways to play it. Again, we lay it out in 60 rounds, and the draft tool will help as well. So let's go to the first guy here, guys. Again, a lot of insight at the beginning. That's why you don't want to skip intros, because there's a lot of golden nuggets and strategy and tactics. You got to start thinking. You just don't draft on ADP, okay? So hit the thumbs up, drop a comment, and make this interactive. Coming at number 10 here, just based on ceiling here, Jim, Drake London. I mean, we got to talk about him. Literally a make or break year. This is it for Drake London. You got to do this, man. You've got a good quarterback this year. This is it. This is the make or break year for Drake London. Years to wow us, we're not wowed. Has never finished in the top 10. He just, high draft capital. This guy was drafted, 2021 as a first round pick. Has not amounted to anything. That being said, that was bad quarterback play. So when we talk about other guys that we're going to get to, Justin Jefferson, who got Darnold thrown to him, there is some concern there with bad quarterback play. But also there is guys like Garrett Wilson who did okay last year with bad quarterback play. So maybe, is it a Drake London thing? This is what we're trying to determine here. Is it a Drake London here? I think the second round draft capital is kind of expensive, but what you're paying for is basically that up ceiling kind of guy. So what are your thoughts on Drake London here? I like him. I just think that, like, because his back's against the wall, right? That's why I like him. What are your thoughts on Drake?
Yeah, I mean, he's a high risk, high reward player. And my biggest fear is that Drake London is Jerry Jeudy, and he's just not going to be able to do it. It's not going to matter. But the opportunity is there. He's the wide receiver one on a team with Kirk Cousins as his quarterback. It is a contract year. This dude is healthy. The scheme should be more pass friendly. Instead of being a run first team, they're going to pass the ball more. So I could see a path to where Drake London is absolutely worth this draft pick and can be take his place amongst the elite wide receiver ones. But for me also, he also is probably one of the biggest risks associated with the fact that maybe he just can't do it. His best year so far, I mean, you're saying he's never been a wide receiver one. He's never even been a wide receiver two, right? I mean, his best finish was like wide receiver 35 or something like that.
Crazy.
And while you could blame the quarterback and you could blame the coach and stuff, you also have to put some blame on himself. He wasn't able to do more with what he was given. So, you just got to acknowledge that. I'm fine taking him in the second round, but just acknowledging that this is a possibility here. So.
Yeah, you have to be aware that that's saying I created. I didn't just create it because it sounds cool, but years to wow us, guys. We're not wowed. I mean, he's a definition of that, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt here and see if he actually steps it up. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, if he does it, he's off the list forever. It's like, you're never going to draft him again. So, it's like you either take advantage of this or you're garbage, and it's up to you, Drake. You got to do something. So
that's what you're paying for. All right, so Jim and I were wrestling before this. Like, I had him in a chokehold. He almost tapped me out. He hadn't been an arm bar. We got into a fight. It was a big scrap. I got the better of him as always. But number 9 was where the fight was. Marvin Harrison Jr. is who I wanted at 9 here. He likes Chris Olave. I believe Marvin Harrison should be here in the top 10. I think he's going to finish top 10. I actually, prior to this video, kind of one of the things that inspired me to really push him in here and stranglehold here, Jim here, and pull his arm on this list was because it was an amazing route he ran. I don't even know where the video was, but he literally, there was 10 feet of separation, I don't know, between him and the top defender there. This guy is so good. And again, the biggest problem I have with Harrison is he's a rookie. We're uncertain here, right? A little bit of uncertainty, but also, you've got Kyler Murray as well. I don't know if I trust him. Hasn't done anything phenomenal with wide receivers since 2020. I think it was with Hopkins that year, or 2021, whatever that year was, where Hopkins finished as top 4 PPR wide receiver. So again, Kyler could do it. I think Harrison's great. Olave's safe. I just don't know Carr. I'd rather get the value of a Rashid Shaheed, who, by the way, is coming to the Fantasy Sports Summit. Grab your tickets below. Rashid Shaheed's going to get an uptick this year. Olave, only 5 touchdowns last year. He's safe. I'm just not excited about him. Why Olave over Harrison, Jim? I'm not seeing this, man. Number 9.
Well, I just feel that Harrison's being overdrafted at where he's going off. He's I mean, I'm saying in order for Harrison to be worth his pick, he's got to get you 1,400 yards and probably 8 touchdowns. And I just see the probability of that as a rookie to be very low. And so I feel and no rookie has ever gone earlier in the drafts, right? This is the highest a rookie wide receiver has ever gone. You look at all the rookies from last season, the best that anyone did was about 1,000 yards, and so I just feel that, he's too expensive. There's other rookies that I want a lot more. I feel that, someone like Keon Coleman could have a similar finish to what Marvin Harrison does, and you can get him 5 rounds later. Okay. So I'd rather have that. So for me, I'm just looking at Olave's situation, and, we saw all of his stats increase from year 1 to year 2. He went from 119 targets to 138. He went from 72 catches to 87, 1,042 yards to 1,123 yards. He's an ascending player. This is a player that's still improving on a year-to-year basis.
Right.
Michael Thomas is gone this year. He, and clearly Olave is the clear absolute wide receiver 1 on this team. So, and despite all my problems with Derek Carr, he's still the guy that does hyper target his top wide receiver. He does feed them relentlessly, and so I could see a year 3 breakout here. I could see something where he gets the kind of volume where he goes into the 160 targets volume, and that would really be great for fantasy football. So I have to admit, I have a lot of shares of Chris Olave. I've taken a ton of him in drafts because he's one of my solid picks in the second round. But I feel that he is definitely in a place where he is going to perform better than Marvin Harrison is in his rookie year. So
good points there. So a little more safe and secure with Olave, a little more ceiling with Marvin Harrison, and that's a good point. The rookie wide receivers, there's so much value later. Like a Brian Thomas Jr. is doing really well in camp, and that's another crazy thing. I don't want to go off too much on tangents and talk about these guys. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about top guys, but there's a lot of guys that are going to finish top 10. I see Keon Coleman finishing as a top 10 fantasy wide receiver, a Brian Thomas Jr. even. And what's crazy is that Kaships have Christian Kirk ahead of Brian Thomas. Like, rankings don't help you guys. I want to, as we're doing a rankings episode, rankings don't help you. That's why we're trying to do a deep dive here, give you guys what you guys want. You guys want to see rankings videos. We're doing them for you. But again, I like to just hand pick players that I want in and want out. For example, last year, Pollard was a top 10. I said, don't draft him, right? He was on the list of top 10s, not in my list, but, he was there, right? Eckler, I knew he was on a regression year, right? Again, Jim's app is going to explain that. 60 rounds is going to omit guys that are going to potentially bust, okay? Like the next 2 that we're going to talk about. So let's get to number 8 here. Again, hit the thumbs up. Let us know what you guys think. We want to get interactive in the comments. Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your feedback, okay? Justin Jefferson, I got / trust Sam Darnold here, which I don't trust. Mind you, again, I do think that he's going to get a lot of volume. We had Addison banged up. I think he's going to be good. I think his injury is going to be minor. He should be good to go, but he's got a looming suspension. We got Hawkinson hurt. I mean, they're going to force feed Jefferson all season. So just sheer volume and talent is going to prevail here. But again, I'm looking at running back round 1 anyway. Justin Jefferson, Jim, do you have any desire to draft him? Are you like, what outweighs each other? Like bad quarterback play potentially, right? Because we looked at Darnold's stats, man. The most he's ever had was 3,000 yards a season, which was 2020 or 19 or something like that. Threw for 19 touchdowns. That was his pinnacle year, was 19 touchdowns. This guy does not throw for a lot of touchdowns. That was his best year, 19 touchdowns, dude. And you got Jefferson, who's coming off as a top 5 pick. I don't know, man. This is way too overvalued for a guy who's on a terrible offense and bad quarterback. I don't know, man. This does not look good from a quarterback perspective, but from volume, that's kind of where I'm like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but then on the flip side, look at Garrett Wilson. He got all that volume and he barely got 1,000 yards. He was I forget his finish last year, but he was like a wide receiver flex value
28.
because
He finished 28 with 1,000.
yeah, 28. So he's a flex value wide receiver. And I can absolutely see that happening to Justin Jefferson this year. So the volume doesn't matter so much if it's a bad quarterback, and there's not going to be a lot of scoring opportunities because it's a bad quarterback. So I already was kind of out on Justin Jefferson. I feel he's being just way overdrafted because he's going, top 5, top 6 for wide receivers in most drafts right now. I'm sure he's going to drop since the news of JJ McCarthy being out for the season. That was the only beacon of hope there, was that this new rookie was going to come and was going to was going to turn things around and be the the next face of Vikings.
Right.
But again, it's just abandon hope. Abandon hope, all you who enter here for taking Justin Jefferson. I just can't see taking him. The only way I could see taking him right now is because that's why we have him 8th, is like, okay, so just based on volume, he would get more volume than Olave or London, I'm pretty sure. So I'd probably take him ahead of there. If he fell to the second round, I don't think that's going to happen. So I am just flat out just staying away from him. I've got 0 shares of Justin Jefferson this year in all my leagues. So
yeah, me as well, for sure. I'm out on Jefferson as well. And yeah, you made a good point there. And the thing is, it's like, I'm a defense, like I'm another opposing, team, and we're ready to play the Vikings, right? We have one game plan. Stop Jefferson. Like, he's gonna be blanketed. Like, not only that, right? Like, blanketed, but is Darnold gonna be able to thread the needle? No chance. Like,
I don't think. Yeah, he's a bad quarterback. He's just bad. I hear these pundits, they're like trying to talk him up. They're trying to, talking about the situation, talking about Sam Darnold and how good he looks out there and stuff. And Sam Darnold always has looked way better in practice than he ever has in a live game. So I'm not buying any of it. But they're just trying to give Vikings fans some shred of hope of what's going to happen. But there's no hope here. It's not. It's just going to be bad. And it's just a shame. It's a lost season. Before the season even starts, it's a lost season for the Vikings.
I just saw a picture real quick. It's a video that's been going around. And what it is Darnold threw an interception in practice. And there he is bent over after the interception. Like, he's not running to make a tackle or an effort. So he's just sitting there hunched over, like upset about his interception, but everybody's trying to run and tackle the guy that caught the ball, but Darnold is bent over. Like, and this video has kind of gone viral. It's making its rounds right now. This is your hope, Minnesota. Like, dude, this guy, where's the hustle, dude? Where's the hustle? And this shows, right? Like, you throw an interception, dude, you get back, you start making a run. You stop that guy. Instead, he bends over and he's the only one hunched over while everyone's trying to make an effort to tackle the guy that made the interception. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Vikings trade for another bad quarterback, but they're going to try to get another quarterback in there. I just don't see how they're going to want to play him past week 5, right? He's going to play 5 games and he might end up 1-4. And, they're going to be like, we got to make a change here. We got to put someone else in. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Vikings make a move for somebody out there that's currently a QB2 or a QB3 on another team. So,
all right. So number 7 here. And again, when we list these guys, like, personally, I have no stock in Puka. It's not like, hey man, Puka's 7, you got to draft him. So you got to understand my thought process. And Jim, how we're talking about all the potential red flags. And man, oh man, already I heard it yesterday, a couple days ago. Matt Stafford already dealing with some sort of hamstring tightness, hamstring injury potential there. And you talked about this. We talked about a lot of videos, the over the hill year for Matt Stafford, right? Also, you got Puka coming off this amazing, pinnacle, astronomical year that's just rarely seen for young guys and rookies. Like,
never been seen before. He had the best rookie season of a wide receiver in NFL history. The best.
Yeah. So there you go. And then now you've got a healthy Cooper Kupp, who apparently is doing really well in training camp. I mean, this is talk about overinflation. I'm actually going to do an overvalued episode today. I'm doing additional back in the backyard video, or I did one yesterday. Sorry. You know what I mean? I'm going to be doing one. Sorry, let me cut that off for a second, because the timing is always off here. I'm going to be doing a video on overvalued players, and Puka Nacua, he's definitely going to make that list as I continue to do more videos on overlooked or overvalued players, and Puka's definitely overvalued, man, for sure.
Yeah, I mean he's a regression risk player for sure. I mean the idea that he could somehow exceed what he did last year, probably pretty slim, especially with a healthy Cooper Cup. But now also he's dealing with that knee injury, so he's not even playing right now. He's
Yeah.
rehabbing that. He's a week to week player right now, so that's not good either. Going into the season injured
Yeah.
is never a good situation. So yeah, I don't think I have any Puka in any of my teams. You know,
None.
I like the Rams. I like the offense. I like I like Sean McVay, the coach. I like his scheme and stuff, but I'm just not sure Puka's the guy I want in this offense. I've actually tilted, and I'm now more like, okay, I'll take a chance on Cooper Cup, but I actually did take Cooper Cup in like the third round in another draft. In a best ball draft I'm doing right now, a slow draft. So I'm like, okay, I can see Cooper Cup being the one on this team.
Better value.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a
yeah,
little older now, and Puka's that young, fresh spot looked really good, but it's just so hard knowing that you've got that rapport with Stafford and Cup and Cup coming back healthy. He's going to dip into that volume significantly. We're already seeing that in the 12 games or whatever he played last year, Cup. So I don't know, Puka, I'm out on. Again, just so many red flags. But I definitely see some upside, okay? Speaking of upside, let's get to number 6 here. I absolutely love this guy. Already doing amazing in training camp. The guy we're talking about is Garrett the Carrot Wilson here. Amazing upside here. Aaron Rodgers, if healthy, and he should be, he wants to win a Super Bowl here. He wants to win it, okay? So they're out to win it. They got Breece Hall. They got Braylon Allen. They wouldn't have drafted the top running back prospect to back up Breece if they didn't want to get some insurance at the position. Garrett, and again, you got to look at the gap. When you look at any wide receiver, look at the gap between the wide receiver 1 and the wide receivers 2s and 3s, and the gap is very large. Garrett is the alpha. He's the main guy there. He's going to get a lot of work. He's going to get a lot of volume. A healthy Aaron Rodgers is going to feed him consistently, looking well in camp. This guy could finish as the top wide receiver. That's the type of ceiling we're talking about here. Super excited about Garrett Wilson. You can get this guy for a better value. You could probably stack a running back with Garrett Wilson at the end of round 1, early round 2, and that's the advantage. You get the upside receiver, and you're getting the value in the drafts. I love Garrett Wilson this year, man. He's the bright spot for me.
Yeah, and there's never been a doubt about his volume on that team. I mean, he got 147 targets in 2022. He had 168 targets in 2023. A
Right.
much improved quarterback situation. I want Aaron Rodgers to be healthy. Aaron Rodgers is, for me, the biggest risk just because Rodgers is over 40 years old, coming off that Achilles tear. So for me, that's the weak spot, right? If he goes down again, what's going to happen to Puka? So that's the risk, but there's no doubt about Garrett's role in this offense and how much he is featured, how much he is targeted. And if Aaron Rodgers can just be freaking competent, if he can just be a competent game manager, Garrett Wilson's going to have a career season. So, I like him. I got him projected at about 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns, which would
Easily.
be excellent, and it's really an excellent second round pick for sure. So, yeah, I like him.
All right, let's get to the top 5. Before we do, guys, make sure you guys head on over to the sponsor of the show, mybookie.ag. Guys, head on over there. Use code FFC. Guys, go get in on the action. Football is back. UFC, you got tons of different events going on constantly. Get in on the action. Go create an account, put down your first deposit, and there's up to $1,000 in welcome bonus, guys, at mybookie.ag. This is the site I use, guys. Head on over there right now for all of your game-enhancing experiences, bets, everything you guys need. Get in on the spreads, get in on everything. Go create an account, set it up, put down that first deposit. Then you guys are all set for the season. Mybookie.ag is the site I use, the site I trust, the site I've been using for years. Mybookie.ag, supporting this channel. Go out there and support them and get into the action, guys. Go get in on it. FFC, the code at mybookie.ag. Go create an account right now. All right, let's get to number 5 here, Jim. AJ Brown at number 5. When I think of AJ Brown, I just think like super safe. Like I think this guy's going to do well. I mean, I'm hearing that Hurts looks amazing in camp. He's like pinpoint accurate. And I think that's what they want to do, Jim. I keep saying Tim. Sometimes I get Jim and Tim. You guys, you don't even look alike. Kind of bald. I mean, you got more hair than Tim, but
Yeah. If there's more hair, it's me. If it's less hair, it's Tim. So there you go.
Oh my goodness. All right. So AJ Brown, what I was going to say is like, again, threading the needle there. And I really believe the addition of Saquon. I know you're not high on Saquon as much as I am. They really want to focus on Hurts throwing the ball a lot more. And that's what they want. They want him running less. They don't want him near that goal line, running into 350-pound refrigerator dudes. They want to preserve their franchise guy, which is understandable. So they bring in Saquon, and again, looking good in camp with passing more. AJ Brown is primed for a big season. Obviously, you got Smith there, who's going to steal some of that volume. They always got other options, but Brown is the one. We know he's the one. So, I mean, he's safe. I have no stock in him, but he's safe. He's that guy you can get, round one, late round one, and you're like, I got my wide receiver one, and you kind of move on from that. But again, no stock for me. What do you think of Brown?
Yeah, I mean, he's not just safe, Counselor. This dude was incredible last year. 106 catches, 1,456 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That is as rock solid as you could expect from a wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, the volume, 158 targets, absolutely top tier volume with an elite quarterback. And the whole thought about, Hurts is going to pass even more this year is just more for AJ Brown. So I love AJ Brown. I mean, absolutely, it's on the radar that he could be the wide receiver one. It certainly is possible with this offense and this offensive scheme. He has been a great receiver since he entered the league. But again, I don't see any sign that he's going to decline this year or that his volume is going to decline this year. So yeah, I love AJ Brown. And you know what? I love AJ Brown. And then a few rounds later, round 3, round 4, you stack him with Hurts and you are rocking this fantasy football season.
Yeah, so, but we talked about that. That would be the most expensive, one of the most expensive stacks, I think, but
I think it's worth it, man.
You get what you pay for. You get really, it's one of those, you get what you pay for things. I think he was a little low on the touchdowns. We've seen him have a peak of 11 touchdowns.
Yeah, he dipped on touchdowns, but touchdowns are really, they're the least sticky stat that you can get. So those could easily just go right back up to
That's what
10,
I think
11,
it will. I think
touchdowns.
It will. It'll go back up for him. That's what I see this year. So AJ Brown, number 4 here. And again, when I say safe, because there's no safety in fantasy, like there really isn't. But when you're looking at another safe guy that's going to get volume, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, again, I think there's going to be more volume, more checkdowns to Jahmyr Gibbs. So he's going to lose maybe some short yard receptions. The Jameson Williams, we talked about him last year. He didn't do much. They're saying he's doing well in camp. He might get a spike, but maybe they're just talking him up. Yeah, you're going to do well, Maybe Laporta gets more of an uptick, or maybe Laporta gets a downtick. We don't know the flow of kind of how the distribution is going to be, but we do know that Amon-Ra is the number one target on this really good offense, and he's going to be safe. He's going to be solid. The fact that he got paid a lot of money, could he lose some hunger? Could that drive him and motivate him to do better? That's yet to be seen. I've got no Amon-Ra St. Brown because, again, you know me. I'm the running back guy round 1. So I like the wide receiver value later. I just think there's other guys that could surpass some of these guys. The Keon Coleman's, Lance. I'm just going to use those guys as an example, right? There's tons of value later. Amon-Ra, expensive. And I remember getting Amon-Ra before he took off and became like a household name. I was getting him round 4 in drafts because I saw that potential. People are like, you're crazy, blah, 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 blah. It's about seeing that before, and that's where the value. You see the Colemans this year and other guys, right? Amon-Ra is very expensive. I don't know, Jim. Are you in on Amon-Ra? Do you have any stock on him?
Am I in on what I see as the number 1 offense in the NFL this year in the Detroit Lions? Yeah. I'm in on it. Now, last year was kind of a pinnacle season for him. It was a contract year. He ended up with 119 catches, 1,515 yards, and 10 touchdowns. That is just, come on, man. That is rock star awesome. I feel he's probably going to come off of that a little bit, but still he's going to get, his volume is just supreme. 146 targets in 2022, 164 in 2023. I got him projected at 153 targets this year. So again, there is a little bit of a risk of regression here. He got paid in the offseason, but this is going to be one of the best offenses in the NFL. That's who you want. You want guys that play on good offense with lots of scoring opportunities. That's how you win. That's how you win fantasy football. And Amon-Ra is a perfect example of that. Again, this is kind of why I'm Counselor. What these guys are, why I want to take one of them in the first round, is just because they are so good in their position. And while I think Keon Coleman's going to be good, I don't think Keon Coleman's going to be 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns good. If Keon Coleman gets like 1,000 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns, he's going to be great because he's going to be a great value from where you got him.
Right.
But if you want a guy that's really going to tilt the scales and give you that week to week advantage in that position every single week in your wide receiver one, these are the guys you want, man. These are the guys that can do it. So yeah, I love Amon-Ra. I've taken him a number of times. All these guys in the top 5, I actually have pretty good shares of. So, but that's just another example. So,
All right. Okay, let's move on to another guy kind of in a make or break year. I think he's getting ready to sign a contract too. Isn't he kind of holding out? I haven't looked at it here too much.
yeah, I think he's holding in. He is at camp, but he's not doing anything.
Holding in.
Yeah, and last year was definitely a down year for him. But yeah, Jamar Chase.
Still, 1,200 yards. I mean, what do you have? 7 touchdowns. I mean, again, Joe Burrow's got to stay healthy. I'd like to see, targets 145. He's heavily targeted. T. Higgins is kind of always in that shadow there, lingering. It's never going to happen. Chase is always going to be the guy. But I mean, this is the year where, you got to start finishing top 5. You're an ultra elite wide receiver. Him and Burrow have got to start gelling. And I think their offense is designed to take them deep into the playoffs this year. But again, Jamar Chase has to do something this year where it's like, wow, you are the best wide receiver in the league. Prove it. Like, you know what I mean? And I haven't seen that in the past couple of years. I'm not seeing sensational upside here. But maybe
I mean, obviously his rookie year was the year that was like, wow, holy crap, look at this guy. But last year Burrow missed some time, and then Jamar Chase missed some time. Even having said that, he's still got 145 targets, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he is such an excellent top tier receiver. He's the bounce back guy of all these guys in the top of the list here. He's the bounce back guy. And if Burrow can stay healthy and he can stay healthy, it's going to be magical. Those guys are awesome together. And there's no doubt, again, there's no doubt about his volume. I see a big surge in his volume this year, up to the high 150s, 110 catches, 1,300 yards, 9 or 10 touchdowns. He's going to be absolutely worth the pick. And again, for me, he's the highest risk guy in the top 5, but he also has the highest ceiling. He could easily be the one easily in a nice bounce back season. So
yeah, when you're looking at trends, we talk about guys trending possibly downwards, guys like Puka, guys like Jefferson potentially, right? Guys trending upward, the Garrett Wilsons of the world. Then you got your neutral guys like Amon-Ra, AJ Brown. What you see is what you get. Jamar is on the upwards trend based on that the flow of what we see here. Okay. Next one here is Tyreek Hill, who is always in the media right now, always doing something, always bringing up new baby mamas.
He's making babies. That's what he's doing.
He's making babies. There's no. It's weird because you always see him with like his wife, and they're chilling, and people in the comments like, which one is this, and blah blah. It's crazy how she even puts up with that. I guess money talks, and you know what walks, right? BS walks. So anyway, that's his off-field stuff. But when is the over the hill? Like no pun intended. When is the over the hill moment here for Tyreek Hill? I mean, the guy's so confident. The guy's still fast. The guy's out here challenging the fastest man on the planet in the Olympics. The guy that won the Olympics, Lyles. Like he's like, I want to race. I can beat you. Like he's like, how much can you beat him? He's like, not by much, but I can still beat him, right? And like it's kind of this back and forth, the ego and all that, which is kind of keeping him competitive. But when is the over the hill year? I think it could be this year. I don't know, man. Very expensive, very arrogant. And, years ago, he was kind of very volatile where he has these big monster games and there's other games he kind of lays eggs. I think you're going to get some volatility with him yet again this year. But Tyreek Hill, I don't know, man. I'm kind of out on him. I know, why is he number 2? Guys, listen, this is just a consensus list based on where they could finish. And you can't deny the talent. I can't just push him out of a top 10 list here. But again, I've got no stock. And, I definitely see the appeal and the explosiveness. He had a great year last year. Great.
Yeah. And I love the Miami offense. It's just so explosive, so high powered, big time scoring, big plays. That's what I love. And Tyreek Hill has been absolutely amazing since he went to Miami. I mean, when you're talking about he had those down years or he had games where he kind of fell asleep on, that was mostly at the Chiefs when he was with the Chiefs. But since he has gone to Miami, he has just been absolutely uber explosive. 170 targets, 171 targets in each of the past 2 years. 119 catches. It's kind of crazy how close his stats are from year to year. Over 1,700 yards. Last year, he got 13 touchdowns. I mean, these are just insane numbers. And and they had the players rank the top 100 players in the NFL. Who did the players rank as the number one player in the league? They put Tyreek Hill at the top of the list, number one. And yes, it is his age 30 season. He's turning 30 this year. But I don't see any sign of a fall off here. This is a great offense. I think he's probably a little annoyed that CeeDee Lamb took the number one receiver last year. So he's got some fire burning him. He wants the offensive player of the year on an offense that he could do it, because it's just the scoring opportunities are there. The explosiveness is there on all sides of the ball for Miami's offense. So I love him. I have taken a lot of Tyreek Hill. And in fact, I took him in our dynasty league. Remember, I got him in the third round, which was crazy in our dynasty league. And, he just signed an extension as well. So he signed I think a 2-year extension. So he's going to be playing until he's 33. But right now, I think he's just at the peak form. He is just absolutely in peak condition. Could there be a fall off? Yes, there absolutely could be, but I don't see it happening this year. I think this is another peak season for Tyreek Hill. So go Tyreek.
All right, let's get to number one here. Before we do, guys, again, hit the thumbs up and go grab the 16-round draft solution. It'll put you light years ahead of the sheep. Sleepers, breakouts, optimal players. You don't want to draft without it, guys. As soon as you guys create an account, you guys sign up, you're going to get an email, access to all my sleepers, all my breakouts, all the mock drafts, everything on a silver platter. Grab 16 rounds right now. All right. Since we didn't do news today, Jim, I Breaking Brad has been yelling in the background. He just wants to get 2 words in before we get to the last pick. He wants to say 2 words. Breaking Brad, what do you want to say? I know we didn't do news today. Do you have any words for the listeners today?
We now have breaking news.
There you go. Breaking Brad had to get in on the show, Jim. I don't know what to tell you. The guy keeps bugging me. So there you go. I know a lot of people like him now. I know there's a lot of people in the comments. Shout out to Breaking Brad in the comments, everybody. There you go. People keep asking about him. They're like, they talk about him like he's important. All right. He is. He is very important. All right. CeeDee Lamb here is the last one here, Jim. Amazing year. And the biggest issue I have with him are 2 things. Number one is this holdout. At the time of this recording, he's still held out. Maybe he signs a contract between the next 12 hours or whatever, between we release the show, between when we record it, when we release it, whatever it is. The holdout, he's going to get paid. I think the Cowboys said they're not near one, but they're going to do one or something like that. I can't remember the exact quote. They're going to get it done from what I understand. But again, you got this pinnacle astronomical year where 1,749 yards just doesn't seem achievable 2 years in a row. And then you got the 12 touchdowns and you've got like 181 targets, like number one in targets. I just don't see that being viable 2 years in a row. That being said, I mean, the situation looks great. He's the only wide receiver. The gap between him and everybody else is big. And this is why I like Ferguson so much, because I believe that Ferguson takes a step up in the offense, because it just can't be the CeeDee Lamb show so much, that's where I love Jake Ferguson in a situation when you're looking at tight ends. But CeeDee Lamb, man, as solid as they come, great talent, great situation. You got Dak Prescott, who's him, and that rapport is there. He's going to eat. There's no denying. The only thing that holds this guy back is injury, and then you just got to factor in a slight regression. Other than that, man, CeeDee Lamb is the man, period.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that they're going to get a contract done before the season starts. This is stupid. Jerry Jones is an idiot. He should have just signed him immediately at the end of last season, because it would have been less expensive than it is now for a wide receiver. But I don't know. Jerry Jones is thinking there's going to be a sale on wide receivers soon, and their value is going to go down. That's not happening, man.
Did you see the value? I think I saw an article. They're worth like $8.8 billion. I can't remember the exact number, but there's a recent thing that came out on how much.
Oh yeah, it's like $10 billion. The most valuable franchise in the world.
And he's cheaping out on his only receiver, and he's he's like the number one player on the team. Like, how do you even do that? And then you cheap out at running back. Like, you don't even draft a top running back. You bring in washed up Zeke back. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. You got all this money and your best running back is Zeke Elliott, and you're holding off on your best player, the only guy producing on a top level for you in CeeDee Lamb. It's ludicrous. Like, what's wrong with you? It's crazy.
Well, I think the problem is just salary cap issues, and related that they got 3 star players that all need to be re-signed, because Dak also needs to be re-signed, and Micah Parsons also needs to be extended. Right. And all these 3 guys are all going to be like at the very top of the pay scale for those positions. So it's very expensive. I think they're like having a real problem as to what they're doing, but the way they're going about it here and letting this just like drift in this late into the season,
Yeah.
it's just irresponsible. They should have been in front of this last year and at
Yeah.
least extended one last year when it was cheaper. All those players were cheaper last year, and then this year they'd have a little bit more flexibility. But I don't know. I don't have real good vibes about the Cowboys this year. So for me, I like Tyreek more than CeeDee Lamb. But CeeDee Lamb's the number one guy coming off the board. Yeah, that's what happens, right? He was the number one receiver last year, so he's a number one receiver off the board this year. Copy and paste.
Copy and paste.
I do see a regression risk coming off that pinnacle season. I mean, 181 targets last year, absolutely insane. 1,749 yards, 12 touchdowns. But he's still going to be absolutely the number one receiver, high volume, high efficiency. He's going to score a ton of fantasy points. So I think he's a good choice. He's an easier stack. You can get Dak Prescott much later in draft boards. But for me personally, I'm taking Tyreek when I have a choice between the two. So
That's a good way to look at it, because you always got to factor in a regression. Someone always slides up on top typically. Again, but the only situation is with CeeDee Lamb, not much has changed. Great situation, tons of upside. But man, as crazy as this sounds, I see one of these rookies, a Harrison or even a Garrett Wilson or a player like that, was just more stealing than CeeDee Lamb potentially this year. You never know. You never really know. All I'm saying is that he's very expensive. The copy and paste is always a concern to me. We see players fall off the year after a big year, especially, like I said, contract year. He's going to be, he's going to have that belly full after he does get paid. It's going to be crazy. Amon-Ra St. Brown, same type of thing. You got to be aware these guys, some of these guys, their bellies are full, whereas you still got some hunger with guys like Puka Nacua. But again, you got quarterback situations there, and Jefferson's got a belly full as well. And so I'm always about these young, hungry wide receivers that have a major, again, this is the key, a major gap between them and the wide receiver too. Guys like Keon Coleman. I'm not sold on Curtis Samuel being valuable. I'm not sold on, whoever the guys are behind. Who else is there here? Lad McConkey, like Quentin Johnson, really. Palmer.
Yeah, Joshua Palmer.
Palmer's always been a 3, right? Like, it's just Brendan Rice. There could be something with Brendan Rice. We don't know. He's a 7th round pick, son of Jerry Rice. We never know. So there's a ton of value later with wide receivers, where I don't mind stacking 5, 6 of these suckers on there. And like one of these guys is going to go off, and 2 of these guys, because I just got to fill typically 2 wide receiver positions. And then I'm top heavy at running back. And I explain all this in 16 rounds. So make sure you guys do grab the 16 round draft solution and grab the draft tool. You get 50% off in the 16 round draft solution. Once you have 16 rounds, you're going to get that. It's literally going to put you guys light years ahead of the sheep. So top 10 fantasy football wide receivers with a very big question mark on some of these guys. And then we've kind of gone over all of the potential red flags here, Jim. I mean, so you guys are aware. So if you do draft Puka, don't be upset if Kupp comes in. If you do draft Amon-Ra, don't understand that he just got paid a lot. There's so many things that are going to change. Tyreek Hill, if you draft him and he falls off, well, he's not a young dude anymore, right? Things happen, guys. Things shift. Things change. You got to account for that, have a backup plan for a backup plan, and that's what 16 rounds does. Jim, anything else you want to add here before we wrap it up?
No, like I said, I just for me personally, I'm going with one of these guys in the first round. If I can get AJ Brown or better, these guys in the top, what was it, our top 5?
Yeah.
I'm going to take one of them instead of a running back. And I know that's not what you do, counselor. But I just get a lot more of, you talk about the warm fuzzies. I feel much more warm and fuzzy about taking one of these guys first. And I can still get some really good running backs in the 2nd and 3rd round. I can get Derrick Henry. I can get Isaiah Pacheco. I can get Travis Etienne. I can get, there's a bunch of guys that I can get later that I feel maybe not as good as a Bijan or a Brees, but a guy that's going to be an absolute rock solid RB1
top 10
later, because it's easier to do now, because it's now like 8 wide receivers going in the first round and only 4 running backs. So there's running backs that are available much later than they used to. So that's where I'm going this year with my drafts.
Hey guys, you build it the way you want. If you guys want a good way to build it, 16 rounds, grab it below, and you guys will be very, very impressed and have a bulletproof roster. Okay, smash it, tap it, slap it. We'll see you guys next video. Hope you have an outstanding day today. We'll talk soon.